Individual performances have already been highlighted. SEC accolades, obviously, you guys are aware of. Jay Ward, BJ Ojolari, defensive back and defensive lineman player of the week in the SEC. We're proud of their accomplishments and like to note those accordingly when those kinds of performances are highlighted. It's very difficult to be a player of the week in this conference, and we like to give them due notice when they are outstanding performances like that. As a team, obviously, any victory in the SEC is a great victory. The way we came back in the second half, I think the overall performance from our defense from start to finish was outstanding, and then we rallied offensively and executed much better down the stretch. We'll look to certainly improve on the offensive performance and its consistency for 4 quarters, and continue to work on consistency in the special teams game. But I really liked I think physically and mentally how our guys stayed with it the entire game. The sense on the sideline for me was really good, that our team was at no time anxious, panicking, didn't believe that they were going to find a way to win the football game. So that's it's a very good trait to have moving forward, and we'll look to build on that. As we move forward now, getting another home game, excited to be in Tiger Stadium again for a 3rd consecutive week. But now we have to look towards persistence and consistency. Looking at a football team now that has a chance to be a good team, you have to have consistency. And that means coming back after a good win and putting together a complete performance. And so that is mental and physical, and that is in how they prepare. So we start that preparation today. We work through the week. Our expectations and our standards are that we have a great week of preparation, regardless of who our competition is, whether it's an SEC competition or not. We need to be consistent in what we're doing, and that will be the challenge this week. The maturity will be on display in terms of how mature we are as a football team, and can we handle success? We had some success this weekend. How do we handle it this week in our preparation? New Mexico is a challenge. We had Zach Arnett's defense and Mike Leach's team this weekend, and that defense is a handful. We saw it. Mississippi State was difficult to handle, especially in the first half. They keep you off balance, and Zach came from the Rocky Long tree, and we go against a Rocky Long defense this weekend. It is a good defense, and they have caused people fits. They're a defense that is in structure, has some similarities. They're allowing 13.5 points per game. Third down, they're outstanding. I think they're 5th in the country. They forced 7 turnovers this past weekend, 7. So you can imagine. I think top 5 in the country in terms of forcing turnovers. So this is a defense that will give you problems. If you're not executing at a high level, they'll turn this game into a close game. There's no doubt about that. Offensively, and again, obviously, head coach Danny Gonzalez does a really good job. He's a noted offensive mind. He's always been really good as a play caller, and they're it's a pistol midline option offense, ball control. They've got some talented players on the perimeter, and it's one where obviously they're playing. Obviously good defense and very opportunistic on the offensive side of the ball. So Kendrick is the quarterback from Kansas. He transferred in, athletic, and we'll have to do a really good job with our option responsibilities. But again, I think, as I mentioned, a lot of this is in our preparation and consistency and how we handle things going into this weekend. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Yeah, hey Coach, Glenn West, Go 247. You talked about the conditioning of your team through 4 quarters on Saturday. I'm just curious, is this kind of the point in the season where that really gets to show just how good of conditioning you guys are in, and just what does that look like in season in terms of keeping those guys as physically healthy, I guess, when you get to SEC play?
Yeah, I think, it's how you practice. We don't condition during practice, after practice, so it's a matter of, managing the practice structure itself, that you are getting your team to a workload that the games become easier. And then you start to see that in the third and fourth quarter, where you can wear down your opponents. We're weight training during the season, and it's not a maintenance program. It's a program that, we're not putting our guys in a compromising position where they've got too much weight on the bar, but we're being powerful with our weight training and really intentional about trying to get our guys stronger during the season. So we want to continue to add strength. We want to continue to condition our players, but also with an eye towards making sure that their workload is such that they can be their best on Saturday.
Hey Brian, first off, we didn't get a check last week on Anthony Bradford's status. Just want to see where he's at. But also with the tempo stuff, is it as simple as, hey, tempo's working, play tempo, or is there other considerations as to why maybe you pick your spots and haven't done it in the first half as much?
Anthony is activated for this week. He's in a competitive situation with the guard position, but certainly we'll have an opportunity to earn playing time this week. Yeah, it's not as simple as just say, hey, let's go tempo, and all of our problems have been erased. I think I kind of alluded to some of them. Having 3 different offensive line combinations require a lot of communication. We had 8 penalties, 6 of them were unforced, and 5 of them were communication errors. So we've got to clean up communication, cadence, rhythm, and so tempo takes some of that out of the mix, so to speak, and that you can just go fast and not have to worry about it. I think at times we have to think in terms of correcting the gross errors instead of trying to correct everything at the line of scrimmage. We've been a little bit maybe too detailed, and we just got to play. And then when you play a faster pace, there are some things you just can't account for. And I think maybe we've overcoached it a little bit. And I think we're trying to find our sweet spot as to, what are the things that we just have to live with and really do a good job of getting the ball out of our hands.
What are your assessments of Jaden so far this year? You were very specific in the post game about opening up. How does he take that coaching in the game, during the week, et cetera, and how does he take it to the field?
Yeah, I love coaching somebody that is open to the dialogue during the game. You can have conversations with him during the game, and he can make the corrections in game. Some can't, and so you just don't even try to do those things. But Coach Sloan is talking much more conceptual. I'm trying to deal with some technical things, on the sideline, because sometimes I don't have the big conceptual picture from the sideline. So, he's handling both ends of that, where, Coach Sloan is talking about some concepts and some different looks, and I'm trying to really focus on some specific things. And, I think that that's worked out pretty good, and he handles both of those conversations really well.
Right, on your left. How did Emory Jones do in his first start? Are you still rotating on the offensive line?
I would say that he exceeded expectations. Look, he's not going to be perfect, but he's active. He's got great feet, and he is a great open field tackler.
Brian, Will Snyder from The Advocate. You talked about this a little bit after the game in terms of how Kayshawn getting double covered is opening things up for Malik. At the same time, do you feel like you guys need to do some different things to get Kayshawn going, or is that just going to kind of have to maybe live with that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of both. I mean, I think, look, this is never one-sided, right? It's never all on the player. It's never all on the coach at this level. I think you have to look at both, right? We got to look at how we can move him around and utilize his talents, and then he's got to continue to work hard and work on his skill set, and continue to work hard in practice. So it's always going to be that at this level, at the next. It's always going to be on the player. It's always going to be on the coaching staff to work together. This is working together as a team. Is how you get better. It's never just one side of it. So absolutely, we've got to do our job as coaches to move him around and be creative, and he's got to do his end of continue to work hard and be the best player he can be.
Hey, Coach, here in the middle. After looking at the film, what were your thoughts on some of the special teams that you had, the decisions to catch punts, the punt return coverage, the kick return coverage late in the game? I know there was a hold called on that late kickoff, but did you still see a breakdown there?
Yeah, so a couple things. The kickoffs are a direct result of the kicks. The kicks that have been returned have been line drives down the middle of the field. That is going to compromise your coverage. We don't have a chance to get off blocks and get properly covered. Now, can we get off some blocks and make some plays? Absolutely, and we've got to be better there. So this is not all on the kicker. However, it does expose you with those types of kicks. As it relates to the fielding of the punts, we got to coach better. I mean, and I've got to be involved in that and make sure that those guys are absolutely clear in terms of they cannot move their heels, past the 10-yard line. Greg obviously lost track of where he was. He's a young player. We've got to do a better job coaching him there. The one that he tried to field, he felt like it hit one of our players. Look, when you're looking at it, it's close, but again, that goes to awareness. And maybe we could have coached him better if he saw some Mississippi State players, moving towards the ball. Maybe that's the cue that he falls on it. If he doesn't see a Mississippi State player going to it, maybe he stays away from it. And I think we can do a better job coaching that too.
Hey, Coach, right here. How do you think the run game has been improving kind of steadily so far this year, and how impressed are you with your backs?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think last week we talked about, run efficiency and where is that as it relates to, week 2. And I said, I really can't tell you until we start SEC play. Our run efficiency was much better when we needed to run the football. We were able to do that to close out the football game. So I'm pleased with the efficiency of being able to run the ball in short yardage situations to close out games inside, the 10-yard line, what we call, our white and blue zone. We've been effective running the football there. And then our backs are kind of what we expected. They're all going to contribute in some fashion, and I think they all did. I think they all lended themselves to what we're doing from an offensive perspective. Getting Emory back helped. You saw him catch the ball out of the backfield. He was really good in pass protection. And I think he'll get better as he continues to get reps, and he'll add to the depth of that position.
Ryan, kind of circling back to the special teams question, as you said, maybe it was an effort. He thought that something happened, so he's trying to jump on the ball. Player feels the punt, maybe trying not to let them get the good field position. Can you live with or accept errors that involve effort? I mean, can
absolutely.
You live a little better?
Yeah, as he came off, and my first reaction is, "What are you doing?" Right? And as he explained his position on it, you really can't come back with anything else other than, okay, let's take a look at it on film. Maybe we can help you with that decision making in the future. But he's trying to make the right play, and those are about as gray as they come within special teams. Moving off your spot at the 10-yard line, that's a little bit different. That has to be coached, and there's got to be more discipline in those situations. So there are going to be some of those gray areas. We just need to be better all over the place, and that falls on Brian, that falls on me. We all have to do a better job then, and our players have to commit themselves and understand how important special teams is. It was a great play by Slade, and the hang time was terrific. It was 4.5 plus, gave us the opportunity to be in position to make the play necessary to obviously get a big play.
Hey, Coach. Liam Haley from KLSU Sports here. With how well Howard Perkins played as an edge rusher on Saturday, can we expect him to see a bigger role for him, let's say in edge rushing or blitzing in general?
Yeah, I think there's a role for him. Certainly, he adds, something to our pass rush, and we certainly saw that. That's why he, got the opportunity to play out on the edge a little bit, and you saw him inside with some blitzing inside. I think we found a niche for him in terms of where he can help us, and I would say that. You're accurate in that he can continue to evolve into that position. Now, is he going to beat out B.J. Ojolari at that position? I don't think so. But he certainly can lend some support to that position and certainly some dime and nickel packages.
We've seen some personnel adjustments on defense, some schematic different looks. How would you assess the job Matt and his staff are doing kind of developing this defense as the season unfolds?
Yeah, I think the ability to put the pieces in place, moving Jay down has obviously benefited us greatly. Greg going back to the safety position has added a communication level that's really benefited us greatly. I think that in itself has solidified the back end for us. We've been able to rotate in corners and give guys the necessary rest in that end of things. So, and then we're mixing things up. We're not lining up with one post safety the whole time. We're lining up and showing one post and playing too high and vice versa. So, I think schematically we're where we need to be. The nature of having a guy like B.J. Ojolari and Ali Gay, where you can play 4 down and 3 down and not change personnel, is quite difficult sometimes. And we saw that against a very veteran and skilled offense. Quite frankly, they didn't know what they were getting from snap to snap.
Hey, Coach. James Lejeune from Gridiron Football. I was just going to ask you about Malik Neighbors and just what can you say about his mentality just from the first game coming off of the 2 punts against Florida State, and then just actually translating that and making some huge plays for y'all down the stretch against Mississippi State, especially in the 3rd and 4th downs.
Yeah, it's I think we hear this all the time, in that he has he's been able to focus and refocus. He's been able to move on to the next play, and that is a great quality to have, especially in the game of football. You're going to have some adversity, and he's had it. He's dealt with it, and he's moved on, and he's stronger for it. He's been really good. We've seen his ability to make dynamic plays for us on the offensive side of the ball, and I just think from that perspective, he's really grown.
Coach, what was your evaluation of Brooks and Ward making that switch in the secondary? And then do you have any update on Ward after taking that little knock after the interception?
Yeah, we were looking for better communication. Jay is a very active player, physical player. We saw that, with the play this weekend. Greg is too, but, Greg is veteran player that is used to playing back at that safety position and a very good communicator. So it was just getting to know our personnel better and really plugging them in where we felt that we would be, better served, whether it was, on the offensive line, whether Frazier's a guard, whether he's a tackle, whether Emory Jarvis is better at guard or tackle. We're just trying to get to know our personnel and find out what the best lineup is, and that was kind of, what that was. Yeah, I mean, he was a little banged up, but, we expect to have him for this weekend.
Brian, ideally, do you want Jaden Daniels to run less, or are you okay with him taking on that much of a workload running the football?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we evaluate when he runs, we want to see that if it was within the progression and it was a really good coverage, or maybe that play wasn't great against this coverage, or we got beat at the a particular position and he got flushed, versus you turn down a potential high-low read and you took off, right? And so that's what we're trying to evaluate, and it's really a little bit of both. I think there's still growth there where we can stay a little bit more patient and a little bit more locked in on the progression, and then there are sometimes the really dynamic runs that there was just nothing there and he made something happen. So you want to be careful where you go, hey, you're running too much, and then when he needs to be dynamic, he's not. So we have to be very careful, and along the way, keep coaching him to really do a great job of getting through his progressions and seeing the things necessary that allows us to be balanced in both.
Brian, obviously you were really high on Mason Taylor in the preseason. Just how would you evaluate what he's done so far? What is it kind of about him and his skill set that's allowed him to play and sort of take over that role as a freshman?
I think he's very confident in his ability, so I think it starts with confidence first. I think second, it's a pass-catching tight end, a guy that has really good hands, his ability to run after the catch, extremely athletic. So I think it's skill set, confidence, and he's put on the necessary size to, go into traffic and make some plays. We didn't find him very well on Saturday. Maybe a couple of freshman mistakes. He stepped out of bounds on a narrow route where, he needs to know where he is. But, those, I'm okay with those. That's a learning curve. And those are great opportunities to point out to a freshman that he's not going to make that same mistake twice. But I would say confidence, and then just the physical attributes that he has.
Hey, Coach, down here. I was sort of curious as to how do you think John Emery sort of fared in his first game back, and how was he feeling sort of after the game after not having played for over a year?
He was elated after the game that he actually played football for the first time in a long time. He was sore, he was tired, and I think he had all the feelings that he remembered in playing. So I think the post was really good. He was really nervous going in. But I thought he, afforded himself very well. I thought he ran with pretty good vision for a guy that hadn't played in a while. I talked about rust. There was some, but again, I think all in all, caught the football, played with low pads, and he'll get better. So I thought a good first game for him.
Coach, you have four right here.
Oh yeah, sorry.
In the front. You have 4 place kickers on your roster. How have you seen the recruiting landscape for kickers change over the years, and have you ever changed kickers mid-season?
I think I have changed kickers in mid-season. I'm not interested in changing kickers right now. I think our kicking situation is much more technical than it is anything else. We just got to clean up some technique. But we've got a scholarship kicker as well. We've got a transfer from Northwestern who's talented as well in Finnison. So Dybert, Finnison, Ramos, Peyton Todd's a really good punter. I mean, we're pretty deep in kickers. Bramlett obviously, punted the ball very well. So I really think that there's some great depth there, but we're not going to say there's never competition at the position. If we feel like, we need to make a change in a particular area, for example, we got to change kickoffs versus field goals, extra point, we'll consider all of those things for the betterment of the football team. Great. Thank you.